So what do you want in your life? What do you desire above all else? Why are you here? For my entire life, I've been a seeker, asking these and other questions about who I am and why I'm here. But 8 years ago, I had a profound experience with my then 3-year-old son, Colden, that caused me to face some important truths about the life that I was living. I learned that I was addicted to a life that I thought was going to give me what I want, but in actuality, it was driving me away from what I want and why I'm here. And 3 words were gifted to me that night that helped me to understand what it means to live a truly meaningful and fulfilling life. These 3 words have become a mantra for me and for others that I work with, but more important, I believe in these 3 simple words lies the key to our long-term survival as a species. When enough of us start to live by them, it will launch a new renaissance and advance us into the 4th major revolution in recorded human history. But let me take you back to that night, 8 years ago. I was here in my home in Maine, lying in bed with my son Colden, singing to him as he went to sleep. This had been a nightly ritual for us for his entire life. Anne would read books to him, we would gather together as stuffed animals, and then I would come in and sing to him. But on this night, something was different, because as I was singing to him, I was checking email on my phone. I had allowed my work to penetrate this most precious part of my day, but I explained it away to myself. I said, I'm busy. I got a lot of people counting on me. I've sung all these songs anyway before, and he's sleeping. What difference does it make? So I kept checking emails. I finished singing a song, and I started to sing the next one. Colden rolled over in bed, looked at the phone, looked at me, and said, Papa, you just sang that song. And with that, he rolled over, grabbed his teddy bear, and went back to sleep. Now, whether or not you're a parent, I hope you can appreciate the incredible gift it is to just watch your child sleeping. The rising and falling of their chests as they breathe, the little sounds that they make, it's beautiful. So as I lay there that night with Colden, I had a lot of competing thoughts and emotions. But one thing that really came through for me is determination. I want to be more present. I want to be more present as a father, as a husband, as a boss, as an employee, whatever it is that I'm doing. And then the 3 words came into my awareness. I want to be here now. They hit me like a lightning bolt. So I lay there that night with Colden for probably an hour, being here now, just watching him as he slept. And a couple things occurred to me. One, it was nice to just be present, to just be in that space with him. But at the same time, I noticed how hard it was to be here now. I kept getting pulled away, driven to do something else than I was doing then. So I asked myself the question, what is it that I'm really driving for? And that brings us back to the original question that I asked in the talk. What is it that we desire above all else? Well, when I looked at my own behaviors and the behavior of others, what seemed to be important was that I had money, relationships, possessions. But when I looked below that, there was something deeper. What I really wanted was to be happy. And I think that's really what we all want, is just to be happy, peaceful, content in our lives. So then I took stock of my life and I said, well, by all of society's criteria, I should be happier. I have the home, I have the job, I have the money, I have the possessions. I should be happier, but I wasn't. And as I talked with others, I found the same to be true for them. They had so much, and yet they weren't happy. And then I started to look at this on a global scale and found this is an epidemic that's happening. A Gallup World Poll shows that although poverty has been declining and standard of living has been rising over the last few decades, people report having more pain and stress in their life and experiencing more negative emotions like worry, sadness, and anger. And the World Happiness Report, which is put out annually by the United Nations, shows that in the United States, a place where our standard of living is really high, overall happiness has been declining steadily since the early 2000s. And we rank 19th in the world in happiness, behind some countries that have a lower standard of living than us. So here we have so much, and yet we're not feeling happier. What's happening? What I found in my life is there was this constant feeling of discontent. like things could be better. I could always have more, do more, and be more. And so to move away from this feeling of discontent, I would go out and I would consume. I had a need to be constantly stimulated. And for a while, that consumption would make that discontent go away, but then it would come back. And so I would need to consume more. And this is again a trend that's happening in our country and our world. Listen to some of these statistics. The average size of the American home has tripled in the last 50 years. The average home has nearly 300,000 items in it, and yet 1 in 10 Americans are renting storage space, the fastest growing segment in the commercial real estate industry. In this country, we spend $1.2 trillion annually on non-essential items. $100 billion alone is spent on shoes, watches, and jewelry. That's more than we spend on college tuition. And according to a report from the Telegraph, the average 10-year-old child owns 238 toys but only plays with 10 of them consistently. All of this to feed that need for stimulation because we think it's going to make us happier. But it's not just possessions. It's also information and technology. The average social media user spends 2 hours and 25 minutes a day checking various social media platforms. That's over double what it was a decade ago. The average American home has more televisions in it than people, and we spend 4 hours a day consuming television. And the average mobile phone user checks their phone 63 times a day and spends hours looking at text messages, emails, and notifications, all in service of trying to feed this stimulation because we think it's going to make us happier. But it's not. That's what I found. So I started asking myself, what's happening here? Well, we're using the wrong device to find happiness. The need to consume, to be constantly stimulated and compete, that comes from the mind. And the mind is doing exactly what it was designed to do. Our mind was designed to seek out pleasant experiences, move away from unpleasant experiences, all so we can survive and spread our genes. Our mind was not evolutionarily designed to make us lastingly happy or content. Imagine our ancestors on the plains of East Africa sitting around just wanting to be content. Well, they wouldn't have found shelter, food, water. They probably would have died. So this need, this drive to always have more and be more and do more, it makes sense from an evolutionary perspective when we use the mind, but it's not going to bring us happiness. Swami Vivekananda, who was one of the first Indian gurus to come to the West, has a wonderful quote where he talks about a mind that's searching for happiness. He said, "The mind is like a drunken monkey, incessantly active by its own design. And then it gets drunk on the wine of desire." If you watch how your mind works, it jumps from subject to subject without rhyme or reason like a drunken monkey. But as you watch it more closely, what's happening is it's seeking out those pleasant experiences and moving away from the unpleasant experiences. So what do we do about it? Now we have the whole apparatus laid out in front of us. We understand we have this mind that's seeking happiness, but it's not giving us what we want. What is it that we do? Well, I did what many people did 7 or 8 years ago. I started doing a mindfulness practice. I would sit and I would focus on my breath, and I would lose the focus on the breath and I would bring it back. And it did help me to see just how busy the mind was, just how active that drunken monkey was in me. But it wasn't giving me that lasting peace and happiness that I so longed for. So one night, after a particularly frustrating mindfulness session, I was about to give up. The drunken monkey was winning. And I sat and I surrendered and I asked for help. And I sat in a dark room for quite a while, and then those 3 words came back into my awareness. Be here now. This time they came through almost like a set of human operating instructions. And it wasn't just something that I wanted to intellectualize, because I'd been repeating these words for several years. It was something I really wanted to understand. How do you do it? What does it mean to be here now? And so I sought out wise teachers and guides, people like Rupert Spira, Ram Dass, Michael Langford, and Gary Weber. They taught me what it means to be here now. They taught me practices that finally started to help me feel that peace, contentment, and happiness. It almost happened overnight for me once I learned these practices. But being here now is not something I can explain to you. It's something that I want you to experience. So in just a moment, I'm going to ask you to ask yourself a question. It's a rhetorical question, so the drunken monkey doesn't have to get involved in answering it. But I want you to pause between the question and the answer and really be with your experience. Okay, so get yourself present now and ask yourself, am I aware? Okay, so it's quick, what we just did there. It's subtle, but it's powerful. What we just did there is we changed the way that you orient to the world. The way we typically orient to the world is we are here looking out on the world, and we pay attention to our thoughts, our emotions, our sensations, what we perceive around us. We pay attention to these objects of our experience. What we just did there is we flipped awareness around on itself. We became aware of our own awareness. So I want to do it again with you and stay slightly longer with the awareness this time. And what I want you to notice is that when you stay with your awareness, thoughts will come and go, emotions will come and go, sensations will come and go. Awareness is just there watching it, inherently peaceful and unchanging. The image I like to use here is the image of a sky. The awareness is the blue sky. It never changes. It's ever present. But then a thought or a sensation will come in, and that's like birds flying through quickly. As long as we don't cling on to them, they will just pass through. Emotions are like clouds. They tend to stick around a little bit longer, but they still do come and go. So I want you to do it again this time, but stay with the sky. Stay with the experience of being awareness. So again, ask yourself, am I aware? And be with what is. Okay, so great job. This is new for us. It was definitely new for me when I first started to do it. But what just happened there again is that you became aware of your awareness. That's being here now. And what happens for us when we do this is we do become more peaceful, content, and happy. Why? Because we aren't so caught up in the drama of the drunken monkey. We realize that we are not our thoughts. We're not our emotions. We're not our sensations. All these things pass away. What is it that's there in perpetuity? What's always present? Our awareness. So being here now has benefits at the individual level. I can attest to that, as can the countless other people that I have taught this practice to. But I believe it has benefits well beyond the individual level. I believe being here now is the key to our long-term survival as a species. In his wonderful book, The Precipice, Toby Ord estimates that the chances of a human-caused existential crisis that will lead to mass human extinction has increased from 1 in 100 last century to about 1 in 6 this century, likely caused by the needs of a drunken monkey mind. He also puts forth in the book that there's been 3 major human revolutions in recorded history: the agricultural revolution, the scientific revolution, and the industrial revolution. And each of these represented a seismic shift in how we saw ourselves, each other, and the world around us. But the period just before each of these revolutions was a period of darkness. It was very bleak because we didn't have the level of thinking that we needed to solve challenges that we were facing. And I think we're at a similar place now. Social, environmental, and myriad other challenges are threatening our long-term survival. But a new dawn is rising, and I believe we're on the doorstep of the 4th major human revolution, what I'm calling the consciousness revolution. When we become conscious that we are awareness first, when we are being here now, we don't have a need anymore to compete, to conquer, to consume. We no longer see separation between countries, genders, races, religions, or creeds. And we no longer see a separation between ourselves and other living beings on the planet. But revolutions don't happen on their own. They happen because enough people decide to start thinking and acting in the new way. And it's a choice that each of us must make. And choices are based on values. A quote that's been really helpful to me and motivating me to continue to be here now and do these practices is that we don't inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children. So I still put Colton to bed at night. Singing's not really part of the equation, But I do ask myself, am I doing everything I can to make the world a better place for him? And the answer that comes back is yes, as long as you clear the mind, open the heart, and live as awareness. So I made the choice 8 years ago that I valued the relationship enough with my son to train myself to be more present. What is it that you value enough in your life to do the same? Make that your why and be here now.